How does a nation survive 40 years of total isolation? Imagine a country cut off from global banks, hit with massive oil embargoes, and labeled as a pariah state by the world's largest superpowers. On paper, it should have collapsed decades ago, but Iran is still here. Since the 1979 revolution, the Islamic Republic has navigated a landscape of extreme sanctions, war, and eternal turmoil. Yet, it has built a resistance economy that is surprisingly resilient. This complex survival strategy of Iran, from shadow fleets and barter trade to high-tech drones and regional proxy wars. You have to look back at 1979. The revolution swapped a monarchy for a theocracy instantly, turning Western allies into adversaries. Then came the brutal 8 Years' War with Iraq. That era defined the Iranian mindset: self-sufficiency at any cost. Throughout the 90s and 2000, the country swung between pragmatic reforms like Khatami, hardliners like Ahmadinejad. When the nuclear crisis peaked in 2012, Iran was kicked out of SWIFT, the global financial nervous system. Inflation hit 40%. There was a brief window of hope in 2015 with the nuclear deal, but when the US withdrew in 2018 under the maximum pressure campaign, the economy went back into a tailspin. By 2019, oil exports, the lifeblood of the regime, dropped by 80%. Yet the regime didn't crumble. Instead, it adapted. How do you sell oil when no one is allowed to buy it? You create a shadow fleet. Iran uses anonymous tankers, switches off tracking transponders, and conducts ship-to-ship transfers in the middle of the ocean. But it's not just oil. Iran has mastered the art of shadow finance. They use the Hawala system, an informal network of money brokers based on trust and setup front companies across the globe. They have replaced the dollar with the yuan, the ruble, and even gold. In 2023, Iran and Russia integrated their banking systems to bypass SWIFT entirely, aiming for $10 billion in trade. They trade oil for food with neighbors and use cryptocurrencies to import natural gas equipment. When the world closes a door, Iran finds a window. Inside Iran, the economy is a strange mix of hardship and high development. Let's look at the numbers. Iran's GDP per capita is around $3,000. That's tiny compared to Saudi Arabia's $38,000 or Turkey's $19,000. But here is the twist. Iran's Human Development Index is nearly identical to Turkey's. Literacy is at 85% for adults and almost 98% for youth. Life expectancy is 77 years, matching much wealthier nations. How? Through heavy state intervention, the government subsidizes food, energy, and healthcare. Even under crushing sanctions, they have diversified. They don't just pump oil, they have a massive automotive industry, advanced pharmaceuticals, and a growing tech sector. However, there is a catch. This state control is largely managed by the IRGC, the Revolutionary Guard. They aren't just soldiers, they are a corporate empire, controlling everything from construction to petrochemicals. This creates a clan-based economy where loyalty to the regime equals wealth, while the average citizen battles 30% inflation. Iran knows it can't win a conventional war against the US or Israel, so it plays a different game, asymmetric warfare. While the economy struggles, the military budget is prioritized for drone and ballistic missiles. The Shahid drones we see in modern conflicts, they are the product of decades of isolated innovation. Then there are the proxies, from Hezbollah in Lebanon to the Houthis in Yemen and militias in Iraq. Iran projects power across the axis of resistance, This decentralizes conflicts, forcing its enemies to look everywhere at once. Politically, Iran is no longer looking west. In 2023, it joined the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and in 2024, it became a member of BRICS by aligning with China, which buys 90% of its oil, and Russia. Iran is betting on a multipolar world where Western sanctions lose their sting. But resilience has its limit. The Iranian people are tired. The 2023 Women Life Freedom protests revealed a massive generational divide. While the regime is stable, it is rigid. Corruption is rampant. The brain drain is real. With 30% of qualified youth looking to immigrate, the environment is failing, with water shortages becoming flashpoint for riots. The projection for 2025 and 2026 is tense, with the threat of direct war with Israel looming. In Asian leadership, Iran is at crossroads. Will the resistance economy hold, or will the internal pressure finally cause a collapse? Iran is a case study in the limits of Western diplomacy. It proves that sanctions alone, without a clear political path or total global cooperation, don't stop a regime. They just force it to evolve. Iran has turned itself into a fortress complex, corrupt but undeniably functional. It has built a parallel world of finance, trade, and power that challenges the very foundations of the global order. Whether you see it as a threat or a marvel of survival, one thing is certain: Iran is no longer waiting for the world's permission to exist.